Taking things back to the topic of an emerging petro-yuan. Interestingly enough, the petro-yuan already exists in the form of renminbi-denominated standardized futures crude oil contracts open to trade on the Shanghai International Energy Exchange. However, as the #1 importer of crude oil, China's bid for a petro-yuan may have more to do with its need to reduce its vulnerability to dollar fluctuations in the price of oil than wide-scale renminbi internationalization. Furthermore, even though it seems likely that major oil and natural gas exporters such as Iran and Russia will consider adopting the Chinese yuan as a currency of exchange for this key export, it can't be forgotten that both of these countries may only be doing so as a result of strained relations with America. So more analysis does definitely need to be paid to what may draw different nations to want to adopt the petro-yuan rather than what may interfere with such countries continuing to use the petrodollar. Then when we think about what would actually draw the world to adopting the petro-yuan or Chinese yuan as a general reserve currency, this is where the merits of the Belt and Road Initiative and China's extensive investment and trade with Africa comes into play. The Belt and Road Initiative, also known as the BRI, is China's attempt at recreating the ancient Silk Road. Estimates show that China would have funded about $1.3 trillion in BRI-related infrastructure projects by the mid-2020s. This initiative, set to cover close to 70 countries and 65% of the world's population, will help the Middle Kingdom in its drive to make the RMB global, and it will do this by ensuring that a certain portion of infrastructure loans issued to different countries are actually UN denominated. So while there's no specific figure for how much of BRI financing is denominated in renminbi, we can have a stab at guessing what that number may be based on information gleaned from smaller individual agreements, such as China's deal to finance part of Indonesia's $5.29 billion Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway, where 60% of the loan was dollar denominated, while the remaining 40% was issued in yuan. Chinese corporations and state-run enterprises are also well positioned to win contracts for many of the BRI infrastructure projects. For example, according to Reuters, 47 of China's 102 central government-owned conglomerates participated in nearly 1,700 Belt and Road projects. Also, such vast rail, road and maritime infrastructure is bound to bring BRI participants, China in particular, closer together in terms of trade and commerce. So this can only be a big win for the yuan. There's also a chance that the Chinese yuan could soon become the primary reserve and settlement currency for most of Africa. This makes sense because China is Africa's largest single trade partner and creditor for that matter. So by adopting the currency, it becomes easier for different countries within the African continent to manage their debt repayments, foster trade ties, and more effectively finance any trade deficits they may have with China. And this appears to be understood by many different African nations, as heavyweight African economies such as South Africa and Nigeria have recently signed currency swap agreements with China, while Kenya, Botswana and Zimbabwe now seem to be seriously considering the option of using the renminbi as a reserve or settlement currency. So these two areas relating to the BRI and Africa's potential to adopt the yuan as the international reserve currency for its continent possibly may have more in the tank and may do more to give the Chinese yuan that extra push to make it as an international currency, more so than the petro-yuan. And as the fastest growing economic regions in the world, China and the Chinese renminbi are well positioned to benefit from Africa and the rest of Asia's continued breakneck growth. And through this, the Chinese yuan can certainly become something of a viable alternative to the US dollar in the coming years. Albeit, China may need to relax its capital controls and consider opting for a central bank that's independent from government, as well as completely move to a floating exchange rate if it wishes to seriously answer the matter of whether it could become the world's reserve currency of choice. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the vid. If you want to check out more quality content from us, then be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and like and share this video. Thank you.